What's up? Welcome into the Lambeau Speak, episode number 10. Training camp is officially here. We got football tonight. I can't believe that the Hall of Fame game's here. Thanks
Finally
for tuning in.
here.
This is a Toilets Titles production. You can find the show on Twitter at Toilets Titles. You can find myself. It's not Twitter anymore. Sorry. You can find myself on X at Nate_Dirt19. And of course, I'm joined by Mr. Bobby Winter. How you doing tonight, pal?
Doing good, man. How you feeling about the Aaron Rodgers news? Taking a discount to play in New York.
I'm happy for him. I'm glad. You know, who cares? I'll be honest, I don't care. You know what? I'm happy for the guy. You know, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I read it, and I the first thing I thought to myself was, yeah, who cares? But then, I thought about it some more, and I was like, he could have done that, for us. How close were we to a Super Bowl over the last 3 years? You know what I mean? If he had taken a little bit of a hometown discount, we paid Devontae Adams, who knows?
And the one thing, so he takes the discount. We paid Devontae. There was some other holes we needed. But what were they gonna? Who are they gonna fill those holes with? You know what I mean? Because it's not now. So this year there was Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins. Are those guys gonna make you win a Super Bowl? I mean, I don't know what you do with three good running backs. And that's the other thing that you're it would have been nice, but at the same time, I just don't know what you do with all that money besides keep Devontae.
Right.
So, like I said, it is what it is. I mean, people are going crazy over it. I was just I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't exactly going crazy over it, but the thought did cross my mind. I'm like, if he had taken a little discount in his late 30s in the, the early 2020s, who knows? Yeah. But again, who cares?
Yep. Like I said, what's that? Hindsight's 2020, right? So
for sure. Yeah.
You can find Bobby on Twitter at Bobby A Winner. You can find all of our I just lost train of thought. Sorry. All our content, mock drafts, articles, videos, pretty much everything that we do on our website, toiletstyles.com. Please check it out. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button, the little bell to notify you when we go live, since there's multiple shows a week, and the number is only going to increase as the season gets here. Check out our sister network too, CFB Nation. Everything you need about college football, they got it. Like I said last week, they're at ACC Media Days. They have a ton of stuff in store for the season, and college football is right around the corner. I mean, I don't know if there's a month till college football starts. I think it's pretty close. So be sure to check all their content out. Throw us an Apple Podcast review if you're listening on there. 5-star review. We would really appreciate that. And of course, like I said last week too, if you want to join the team, discuss NFL stuff with us, fantasy football, gambling, whatever it is, join our Gilded Chat. You can reach out to any of us on Twitter, and we'll get you hooked up. It's free. A ton of people, I think over 150 people in the chat now. So it's, all the time, always something going on. So yeah, please check it out. And, we'd love to have you. So tonight we're going to talk basically some prop bets. We don't want to go over training camp stuff because we're not there. We could talk all day about watching Jordan Love throw a ball into a net, the deep balls to Watson. They're great. They're fun to watch. We're all pumped up, but you can go to X and get all that crap. So not kind of crap. You know what I mean? That's Bobby and I kind of felt like we're not there. So, talking about the same stuff you've been reading for 3 days doesn't really do much for us. So
I agree. Yeah, exactly. So I figured, if we were going to talk about training camp, we'd have somebody on that would, boots on the ground that actually has eyes on the players that,
next week,
can formulate opinions. Yeah. So hopefully next week, we can put something together.
Couple of big guests next week. So
absolutely. Stay tuned.
I won't go too much into it. Yeah. You have to tune back in next week for that. So, well, I guess if you want to go first, and I will say before we start, these are all from different websites, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, BetOnline. I don't know. Depends on where you live for what you have. I don't know the phone number to tell you if you have a gambling problem. It used to be 1-800-bets off. I don't know what it is now, but I wish I could rattle that little thing off they do every time they talk about it. It'd be funnier that way. But I'll let Bobby go first with your first prop you like. And these will change. They've probably changed a bit since they've been out. and Bobby and I are talking too. If you're listening, whether it's FanDuel, DraftKings, whoever, if you could just put a tab with each team and then you click on that team and it brings up the whole prop for those guys, that'd be great. I'd spend a lot more money if I could do that.
You would think, like we were talking about in the pre-show, like how much more money these companies would make. I mean, they're already making so much. You would think that they would have like hyperlinks that work where if you click on a player, it shows every single bet that's available for that player. Or if you click on a team, it shows every single bet that's available for that team. But right now, like on DraftKings, you click on a player and it says no bets are available. But there are plenty of bets available for the players I was clicking on. So
you just got to find it a different way, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. They make you work for the money, I suppose.
Yeah.
But so I have a lot of player prop bets. I have a couple of game bets. But the first one I wanted to start on is the one I'm most excited about is Christian Watson. So the first bet I have for him is through DraftKings. It's over 62.5 receptions. So again, assuming he stays healthy, which he's healthy now, and he wasn't healthy going into camp last year. He battled a ton of injuries throughout training camp, and he was also injured throughout the beginning of the first part of the season. So if he stays healthy for 17 games, that's an average of 3.67 receptions per game. Are you telling me right now he's not going to get 4 receptions a game as wide receiver 1 on this team? Hammer the over on this bet. It's minus 110 on DraftKings right now. That's one of the bets I feel the best about, assuming he stays healthy.
That's pretty easy. I mean, that's not very many. And I don't know if you have props for other guys on the team as far as their receptions. I could try to look a few up maybe as we're going, but that's not a lot. Like you said, if he stays healthy, even if they do spread the ball around like they've talked, there's going to be games where he has 8-9 catches, so.
I mean, Davante Adams had years where he had double that. You know what I mean? How is wide receiver 1 on this team going to have less than half of what Davante Adams had? It just doesn't make any sense. I just don't see it.
I don't either. So staying with Christian Watson, one I liked from DraftKings, and it was, it seems good. It's same thing, obviously not these are all if they stay healthy, of course, but his over under for receiving yards on DraftKings is 825.5. I like the over that. I think if he gets that, 75 to 80 catches, like that's kind of where I see it, maybe more. I don't think that, hitting that 1,000-yard thresh, hitting that mark, I don't think that's out of the question, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. That was actually one of the ones I considered, but I'm glad that you didn't pick one of the ones because my next one is actually his receiving touchdown total. So I looked and I compared them on the 2 sites I was looking at, which are DraftKings and BetOnline. So BetOnline has over 5.5 at plus 110. But if you feel like that's a little rich, you can go at DraftKings. They have over 4.5 at minus 160. Didn't he have a game where he had 3 touchdowns last year? How is he only going to have 4.5 in a whole season? You know what I mean? Like, again, this is one of those, like, to me, no-brainer bets. All he needs is 1 multiple touchdown game and a couple more games where he scores 1 touchdown. Like, yeah, I would throw the money. I mean, I'd feel comfortable taking the bet online with the over 5.5 at plus 110. That's
definitely,
easy money.
So I looked into the receptions. Romeo Doubs, his over under is 47.5.
I think that's kind of light.
I do too. But you know what? And as I was scrolling through, DJ Moore's over under 62.5.
Interesting. Same number.
Yeah. So, I like that Dobbs bet at 47.5. I do. I think both of those, those feel like his number 1 and number 2 targets, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that, Dobbs getting 60 catches on the season's out of the question.
Right. I mean, at 47, that's less than 3 a game, 2.76 per game.
Yeah. So that's actually all that DraftKings has for the Bears or the Packers, or those 3 guys. Justin Jefferson's at 105.5.
He'll probably hit the over.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think. I went past his name and I just forgot it because Davante Adams caught my eye instead. But yeah, that touchdown one you said, I think I'm on the over of either one of those, to be honest. And if they have an alternate, where you can bet 7 touchdowns. I don't think those numbers are. I don't
not out of
think
the question either.
I don't think we're being like unrealistic where it's like, oh, he's gonna have 12 touchdowns this year. Like in my, Amon-Ra St. Brown's 95.5 catches. This is over under.
I wonder how many he had last year. I think he had 7.
I don't know, a shit ton. It just seems
like he had 7 touchdowns last year and only played in like half the games. So, yeah, if you could find 7 out there, and if it's like 5.5 is plus 110. You can only imagine what 7 is.
Well, and I get the regression is there, but at the same time, he didn't play all the games, and I don't see him having 3 touchdowns. That's not normal,
Sure. But you never know. I mean,
yeah. So moving on to, speaking of touchdowns, there's 2 of them that were next to each other. I like both of them. Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon have the same total for rushing touchdowns. They're both at 6.5. AJ, I'm more nervous to say AJ Dillon who would hit the over than Aaron Jones. But I would feel comfortable betting both of them over, I think, just because we know how much. I just feel like they're going to run the ball more than they did. And especially in the red zone, if Love makes some questionable decisions and then, LaFleur decides maybe we need to just run the ball. Mm-hmm. I can see both those guys, I don't know. I guess optimistic or not, but 6.5 touchdowns to me, I think that's a fair number, but I kind of like the over, especially for Aaron Jones, maybe not as much for AJ Dillon. What do you think?
Yeah, actually, I saw that too, and I was like, "Wow, they have the same rushing touchdown totals." And then my first thought was, "Oh, Aaron Jones over all day." So then I looked at how many touchdowns he scored. Remember that one year? I think it was like 3 years ago. He had 16 rushing touchdowns. I was like, "Yeah, Aaron Jones." His rushing touchdowns has gone down year after year after year. He only had 2 last year.
Yeah.
But he had 6 receiving touchdowns. So he had 8 total. So that led me to go, okay, I got to find something where it shows his rushing and receiving touchdowns. So that leads me to my next one. I found on Bet Online, you can do Aaron Jones over 7.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. That's minus 115.
I think I'd feel better making that bet, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do they have an AJ Dillon bet too for that?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because I guess you could say it's a safer play, because like I said, what if he has 10 touchdowns, but they're all receiving? Then you're like, well, shit.
Yeah.
That didn't work out very good, but whether or not he does, I don't know. Well, you're looking for that. My next one, I like, I guess you could say either one of them, but Aaron Jones rushing total on DraftKings, 800.5 yards. I like the over that. I keep seeing that stat that he's like, what's the only player in the last 4 years to have over 4,000 rushing yards or something and 1,400 receiving yards or something like that. I think he's going to be the focal point of the offense, to be honest. And I think AJ Dillon's not really going to be the second fiddle because he's going to get a lot of carries too, but I don't see him, he's going to hit 1,000 yards, I think. And if there's a bet somewhere that I didn't see that's total yards rushing and receiving, I'm sure it's probably over 1,000. That'd be a safe bet too, but unless you probably have that one.
To answer your question earlier, they do not have that same bet for AJ Dillon. For AJ Dillon, they only have the rush yards and rush touchdowns. And that makes sense. I mean, Aaron Jones is, prolific catching the ball. Where his rushing touchdowns have gone down, his receiving touchdowns have actually gone up. So, it just speaks to his versatility, and you could literally line him up anywhere. And the Packers, I think, will probably do that as well. Because they're right now, with how young the pass catchers are, they're going to want to get their best players on the field at all times. So if that includes, spreading out Aaron Jones, which we've seen him do in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that this year. So his receiving touchdowns will probably be pretty high as well.
Aaron Jones had 1,121 yards on the ground last year. So yeah. I don't see how he goes down 300 yards.
Yeah, me neither. So, he's getting a little bit older, but yeah, he's literally coming off his most productive season on the ground. not touchdown wise, but yardage wise, you know.
Yeah.
He, like I said in the previous episodes, he's aging like fine wine. So
Yep.
hopefully, you know, he stays on that track. All right. So my next one is Jordan Love. So, you know, a lot of, we were talking about this in the Jordan Love episode about, you know, in fantasy football, like what their projected passing yards were for him. And a lot of the places we were looking at were somewhere between like 36 and 3,700 passing yards. So I found right now you can get it on DraftKings for over 3,350 for plus 125. I thought that was pretty good. 3,350. Let's see. How many is that a game? Dude, it's under 200 a game. 197.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty good. I mean, especially if all the fantasy things think he's going to go over it, like, why not on a plus 125 bet? I think that's good money.
No, I agree. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, that has to be.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. Back to more rushing. AJ Dillon's total 725.5. I think that goes over too. Like I've said 15 times on the show, I started to keep repeating myself, but I just don't think. I think they're going to run the ball a ton. So, and that doesn't seem like very many yards to me.
Yeah, I saw that number and I was like, that's usually what he gets every year, but he's going to be in a contract year this year. So you know how these players are. When they're in a contract year, you know, they usually show up. So yeah, that's probably a good bet. I would agree.
He had 800 yards in 21 and 770 yards last year. So, you know, kind of right around there, but he also had Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. So I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, add more yards or back towards that old total anyways.
Absolutely. I mean, and you're going to probably see, especially in the beginning, Love being more than fine, just handing the ball off. You know what I mean? Especially if it's working. So my next one is Jaire Alexander over 2.5 interceptions. That is plus 105 right now on DraftKings. He's a top 5 corner in the league. I know in the beginning of his career, he wasn't really getting the interceptions. He was more of like a pass breakup guy, just like really sticky in coverage. But the interceptions have come for him. And he's proven to be able to cover anybody in the league. And I really do believe, like I was talking about last week, I think they're going to use Jaire better this year. They're not going to just stick him on one side. If, you know, the Packers are smart, they'll put him on their number one, or, you know, they'll put him where they think the play is going to go, you know, and put him in a position to succeed because he's probably the best player on our defense. And I think 3 interceptions is easy money for Jaire.
Oh, for sure. And as you're speaking of that, I looked and I just see Rasul Douglas' name sticking out to me. His over-under is also 2.5 at plus money. And that's it's the same thing. And even if, you know, it seemed like last year they would put Rasul and whether it was Stokes or somebody else on the number 1 receiver and have Jaire in single coverage on the number 2. You know, whatever they do, I think Rasul is going to be in for, you know, more targets his way. It seems like that's usually how it kind of tends to go.
Yeah.
When you have a guy like, you know, Jaire on the other side. So 3 interceptions seems, I mean, hell, I think both of them could easily do that. So I don't see any, you know, I'd be hard not to pick either one of those. I
agree. Yeah. I think he's had more than 4 interceptions both years that he's been on the Packers each year. So yeah, I think that's a strong bet.
What do you got else?
Yeah, so the next 2 I have are actually games. So I didn't pick too many games. I just, especially because like you don't know with injuries, you know what I mean? Like obviously you don't know with any of these bets with injuries, but like so the first game I picked is Rams at Packers. So the Packers have had the Rams number over the last couple of years. And this year is probably going to continue that because the Rams probably have the 2nd worst roster in the NFL, or one of the 5 worst rosters in the NFL. And who knows if Matthew Stafford's going to be healthy that late in the year. It just seems like every year he has another injury, whether it's his back or, you know, throwing arm. So I did Rams at Packers minus 2.5 for the Packers, and you can get that at minus 115 at DraftKings. I mean, you could just do the money line for the Packers, but I figured take the -2.5 because I think they'll win by at least 3. You know.
No, I think so too. I don't that Rams team, no depth, and Cooper Kupp got hurt at practice today. I don't know if you saw that or not. I know you're at work that afternoon. It wasn't like they just said he was like got walked off by a trainer or something. I didn't really read into it a ton.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not good. I don't think that team's going to be very good. So that NFC West it's about as bad as the NFC North could be, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your other game prop you got?
Yeah. So the other one was Bucks at Packers. So again, who's playing quarterback for the Bucks this year? We don't know. Kalijah Kancey just got hurt today. And it's at Packers too, and it's late in the season. So Florida team coming up north that doesn't have Tom Brady this time. And I did the same thing. I took the points. So I took -3.5, and you can get it at -110 at DraftKings. Again, you could take the money line, but the smart money is I think the Packers will win by more than 4. So I would take the points.
No, definitely. I think both those are pretty solid. It's nice to have the Florida teams coming up to us instead of, us going down there and getting throttled like normal. Not necessarily throttled, I guess, but it's just like we just never play well in Florida ever.
Oh yeah. Well, that might have been an Aaron Rodgers thing. So we'll see. But anyways, did you see that Sean McVay petitioned the NFL that he was mad that they were going up to Green Bay again this year? And I looked into it. So like all the times that we've played them, even if it was like in the playoffs, it's always been at Packers. So this is going to be like the 4th year in a row or something like that. They're coming up to Green Bay. He petitioned the league and the league shot him down. They said no, that they have to go up to Green Bay.
He probably just made it worse. Now every time they're going to play,
I know, right? I was like, he shouldn't have done that. It's going to be a thing now.
He's going to retire in a couple of years, anyways. He doesn't care.
Yeah, dude's going to make so much money on TV. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick, if you wanted to support the show again, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/shortstitles. We would love to have you. We've gained quite a few new patrons in the last week, and there's exclusive content for them. There's 5 different tiers, working on a couple more, but we would love to have you, and the support from the patrons we have now. We can't thank you enough because a lot of the stuff we do, we couldn't do without you. So thank you again a ton for that. But that's it. I don't really have anything else as far as Packers props. I have some other props that I want to go over. If you got any, or if you don't care, I'll go through some of them.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I actually only have 2 more bets to go through. So and honestly, they're kind of like the ones I feel the least good about.
Okay.
So yeah, why don't you go into some of yours?
Okay, so some of these aren't. I don't know if it's like I'm not betting the house on any of these by any means because they're player props. But the first one, so these are on FanDuel. I checked, and of course, since I live in Illinois, when you open FanDuel, there's a tab for the Bears, like we talked about, but it's just for one team, so it's only Bears stuff. But so most interceptions thrown, that's throughout the entire NFL. Fields had he wasn't the highest because he's plus 900, but I mean it could happen. I mean, hell, Jordan Love could throw the most interceptions too. He was a little longer of a bet than plus 900, but I don't think that's a terrible one. His over/under for interception was like 10.5, I think, on DraftKings.
Oh,
so it just kind of depends on what some other guys do. But I do like for quarterback rushing yards, also on FanDuel, Fields is plus 170 to lead the league, and that's the shortest odds. I think he's followed right by like Lamar, Josh Allen, but he could easily lead the league in rushing yards. Plus 170, that's good money for I'm fairly confident about that bet, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I mean, the only one who'd really challenge him is Lamar, but they have a new OC. Like, how much is he actually going to be running the ball this year? We don't know, especially they invested so much in their wide receiver core this offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if Fields does lead the league. I think that's a good bet.
Yeah, definitely. This one I saw, this is all over TikTok and whatever about he's saying Fields said he's going to throw for 4,000 yards this year. Whatever. The over-under is on FanDuel, it's actually lower. It's at 27.75.5. DraftKings has it at 28.50.5. I like the under on both those. Whatever. You can say I'm an asshole. I don't care. I just don't. He's not throwing for 4,000 yards. So
Oh, well, yeah, I was going to say, we were talking about it earlier. He threw for 2,200 and change last year, so he's going to throw double what he threw last year. Okay, we get it. You have DJ Moore, but until
DJ
your
Moore,
team
DJ
trusts
Moore's
you to throw
receiving
the
total,
ball.
I'm going to talk about it in a second. You'll hear it, and you'll be like, well, how's he throwing for 4,000 yards in?
Right.
So, I mean, I guess if you think he's going to hit 3,000, but we've said it too many times about the completions, and he's thrown over 200 yards twice. I don't see. I think things have gotten better, and I think they will. He's a phenomenal athlete. I think he can be great, but I don't think Darnell Wright and DJ Moore is going to make him an MVP.
Right. So,
his over under for passing touchdowns is 17.5. I like the under of that as well. I just don't see it. I like him hitting more rushing touchdowns. So I feel good about, actually, no, I said over. I was wrong. That's my wrong. I read wrong. I like the over that because I think, I think he's going to be better. I think he's got some better weapons, but, and I think as much as I feel like he could lead the league in rushing, they're going to try to have him throw the ball more.
Oh yeah.
So, and of course on Twitter, you've been watching some of the passes, like he's, he throws a great ball. But if it goes to the right guy, that's, we'll find out
for sure. Well, you also have to think, I mean, the offense should be more productive than it was last year.
It has to be.
Just having a number one there should help that a little bit. You know what I mean? So he'll get more production, whether it's, just passing or rushing or a combination of the two.
Yep. So talking about his wide receiver one, DJ Moore, his over under on DraftKings is 800.5 yards. It's 25 yards less than Christian Watson.
Interesting.
So that's where it's like, where you'd think if you're going to throw over 4,000 yards, your guy's over under is going to be, up in the Amon-Ra St. Brown territory at 1050.
Right. Yeah.
And a half. I do like DJ Moore to go over 800 yards. That's not a lot of yards.
No, it's not. I think he's gone over 1,000 every year.
Yeah. There was a stat about him, his yardage total. Like there's only 7 guys that have done it or something at his age. It's like Mike Evans, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens. It's a murderer's row of Hall of Famers.
Right.
I know Mike Evans, but you know what I mean? So I like him to go over. I see what you think for Amon-Ra St. Brown's total was that 1050.5.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say over, but I don't know if I trust Jared Goff enough to get him over 1,000 yards. But last year, gosh, he was so good, and I don't see him regressing.
But also remember this: they had the betting scandal, and a whole bunch of their wide receivers can't play like 6 or 8 games this year. So Amon-Ra is going to be focused a lot, especially in the first part of the season. I think the over is probably the right bet.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was leaning, but it's like, I just don't know if I trust Jared Goff.
Sure. Sure. Well, it's the offensive line that makes him play that well, because when he's protected, I mean, he throws a really good ball. I mean, it's just the dude buckles under pressure like no quarterback I've ever seen. Well, any quarterback that's been in the league for a number of years, you know what I mean? Yeah. He needs to be upright. If he's pressured, his passer rating drops tremendously. So he's on the right team for it.
Remember here, and if you watched him, definitely in LA, if in the first half he was getting hit and hit and hit, they're like, live bet the other team in the second half every time because he, just does so bad. You could see it in his face almost.
Yeah.
But another Justin Fields bet on DraftKings. His rushing touchdown total 6.5, just like Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, all those guys. I like him to go over that.
Sure.
I forgot what we said he had last year. 9, was it?
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
No, doesn't matter. I like the over. That's not a lot of touchdowns for that guy, as much as he runs the ball. I think that's a good safe bet to me.
Yeah, he had 8 last year.
Yeah. So
on a bad team.
Yeah. So on a mediocre team, I could see him again. So
sure.
I don't know if they'll be mediocre. My last one, Jahmyr Gibbs, his rushing total is 650.5 yards. I think he goes over that just because, I know David Montgomery's there, but they got rid of DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams is gone. David Montgomery has been there, not there as in Chicago, but he's been in the league. Obviously a guy that can handle a lot of touches, but they didn't take Jahmyr Gibbs for nothing. And, there's a lot of hype, but he is a great running back. In college, he was a great running back. I don't see, 650 yards is not a lot.
Oh, I agree.
So
that's they took him in the first round. They're going to use him, Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty low total. I liked that bet.
Yeah, that's one of the best ones in my opinion. Easy over 650, especially behind that offensive line. Yeah, exactly. He should be great. All right, so I had 2 more that I wanted to get to. So these are kind of like ticky-tacky in my opinion. So the first one, it's a little risky, but not as risky as the other. So Keyshawn Nixon to score a punt or kick return touchdown in any regular season game. So obviously he did it last year, right? And he did it in what, I think 8 games, 7 games, 9 games. Like I forget when he took over, but he did it last year, right? So if he does it once this year, just like he did last year, then boom, you got money, right? So it's minus 120 at DraftKings. And what I like about that,
I figured that'd be like plus 200 because like punt and kick returns aren't that easy. So
no, they're not. But he's also Keyshawn Nixon, and he's all pro. So clearly, DraftKings was like, "All right, we're going to put this bet there, but we're not going to pay you a lot of money if it happens." So, but what I liked about it is it's punt or kick return.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if he does both, now you have twice the opportunity, or what I mean.
Yep, I like it.
And the other one, so this is the one. Just hear me out.
Yeah, go ahead.
So again, so in our very first episode, we did how many games we think the Packers are going to win. And I picked them to go 9-8, right? So the Packers right now, their odds to make the playoffs are plus 160 at BetOnline. So all we have to do is pick 6 teams that are going to do it. And then we have to figure out what teams are going to be in contention for that 7th spot. Right. So we have the division winners, probably San Francisco in the West.
No, come on. Give it to Seattle.
Oh, really? You're that high on Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So whatever. But the 49ers are going to make it as well.
To be honest, right? I think those teams probably both make it.
I agree. So Seattle and San Francisco. Right. So hold on. I'll do wild card and division winner. Right. So then Eagles, Cowboys. Right. One of those 2 is going to win it as well. So one division winner, one wild card. So somebody has to win in the South, right? So right now the betting odds favor is the New Orleans Saints. So we'll give it to them there. So now we're at 5. So who's going to win the North, right? So I picked the Lions to win the North. But I mean, like you said earlier, the division really is up for grabs. If Jordan Love comes out and plays a little bit better than, people are expecting, it could happen, right? But I'll be consistent with how I picked my games, and I'll say that the Lions win the North. Right. So now we have our 6 teams. So these are the teams that are going to be in contention according to the odds on BetOnline. So you have the Minnesota Vikings, the Atlanta Falcons, the New York Giants, the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers. There is only one team on here that I think has as good of a chance as the Packers or better, and that's the Giants. The Vikings are going to regress this year. I think I picked them going 8-9, if I remember correctly. And I had the Packers going 9-8, or maybe I had them also going 9-8. But that would just come down to a tiebreaker. The Falcons are probably going to be better this year. But again, they have a rookie starting quarterback who they drafted, I think, in the 3rd round last year, Desmond Ridder. Who knows how he's going to play? He doesn't have the same experience that Jordan Love has had playing behind practicing behind an MVP for 3 years and being in the same system for 3 years, also being a 1st round talent. And then the Chicago Bears, there's no way. How do the Bears have a higher % chance to make the playoffs than the Packers? I don't understand this. The hype surrounding the Bears this offseason has gotten out of control. It's out of control. Honestly, I don't think the Bears beat the Packers in either of the games.
Buddy, we won 3 games. Now we're going to win 13.
Yeah. And he's going to be an MVP and double his passing yard totals. And, it's just unbelievable to me. So I think of all those teams, right? And so it's the Giants. So in my opinion, the Giants are the team that you have to look out for. So, is Saquon going to be healthy? Are they going to put it together on offense? I mean, he threw 15 passing touchdowns last year. That was less than Justin Fields. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to cut it, So I just, especially now, because yeah, no, I agree. But they're going to have tape on how they were playing offense last year. Daboll was running his offense for the first time last year. And it's kind of like when the Packers went 13-3 that first year with LaFleur. It was like they kind of like were the worst 13-3 team ever. But you know what I mean? It's just, it was a brand new system. Teams didn't have a lot of tape on them and stuff. And they came out and played a lot better than I think their talent really allowed. But, they just kind of, strung it together and did it. So I don't think the Giants are going to be as productive as they were last year, especially we're again counting on Saquon being healthy. I hope he is. Saquon's a great player, and I don't wish anybody to get injured or whatever. It's just if there's one team that we need to have a better record than, it's the Giants. And I mean, that's one team. I think it could happen. So plus 160 prosper.
And actually, speaking of that, so I think if the Packers make the playoffs, or God forbid they win the division, LaFleur on DraftKings for Coach of the Year is 15-1. I mean, if you feel good, it's worth putting a little on,
Sure. Yeah. Throw $10.
Yeah. He has, like I said, if they do that, if they do well, if they play well, if Love plays well, there's no reason he doesn't get a shot at Coach of the Year, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, because I mean, there's been years in the past where he really should have won it. And because obviously this is kind of like an evaluation year for a lot of the Packers, just players and also the coaching staff. I mean, Joe Barry really needs to put this defense together. If he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. Matt
should be gone right now
for sure. But he's Matt LaFleur's boy, so he's probably got one more season. Assuming he doesn't put it together. But the thing with Matt LaFleur is they weren't giving him credit because they were saying, Aaron Rodgers was throwing the team on his back, not realizing how Aaron Rodgers was performing before Matt LaFleur got to town. I mean, he got his old coach fired. He had one of his worst statistical seasons as a player the year before LaFleur got hired. Yeah. So, I mean, it was LaFleur got hired, and all of a sudden the team started winning 13 games every single year, and Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs. I mean, it's not a coincidence. You know what I mean? And
it helps, but not a coincidence.
Right. And the 2 years that he won MVP were the 2 years he bought into the offense more. Yeah. They were running a lot more of that, motion and the Shanahan system. And I feel like last year he kind of got a little frustrated and started playing like his way a little bit more, but I don't know. We'll see.
It is what it is. So
yeah.
Before we go to, I want to talk about one of our new partners, W Energy. Check them out, dubby.gg. Healthier, better energy drink. I'm waiting on my package to come in here so I can be drinking it and actually show you. Nice. But ton of different flavors. Less jittery, help you focus and everything. I'm excited to try it and let you know how it is. So check them out. Like I said, dubby.gg. Our promo code is Title Tribe in all capital letters. We'd appreciate the support there as well. So that's all we got for this week. Like I said, there should be a couple guests next week. Very excited. Should be a lot of fun. Said football's tonight. Not really a real game, but I mean, hey, it's football, so who cares? Better than nothing.
Absolutely.
So check out all our shows on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe. Check out our Patreon and check out our website, toiletstyles.com. And follow the show on Twitter at Toilet Titles. So thanks again for tuning in. And we will see you all next week.